Welcome to this video on the Cyder Solutions small business platform. This is an incredibly versatile platform you can use to manage your business and all aspects of it, and it does integrate with your other products that you know and love, like Xero and those other products, or MYOB or QuickBooks or whatever the case may be. But what we have is a lot of small businesses that don't really have the ability to have their own CRMs or inventory management or manufacturing or whatever the case may be, or if they do, they're paying subscriptions to multiple packages that cost an absolute fortune. When you add them all up, yeah, it's only $50 here or $20 there and that sort of thing, but you add them all together and that ends up being a hell of a lot of money. And not only that, but you create little let's call them islands of information there as well. So you might be using, let's say, HubSpot for your CRM, and then you're using something else for your inventory, and you're using something else again for manufacturing, and using something else again for your employees and attendants. And all of a sudden you've got all these bits of information that don't talk to each other. So then you've got to try and invest in some other software to try and bring all them together. And you can just see it creates just a huge mess. And not only that, not just a mess, it's an expensive mess that you've got humans that are doing some trying to pull data out of one system and put into another and update things. And you as a business owner have no real visibility into how your business is going because everything is just scattered. So let's bring all that together into a single platform where we can pull all these things together and have them integrate only with what's needed. So in most cases, most businesses we see, we integrate with one other product, which is usually Xero, and that's it. That's all you need. Whereas, or it might, I'm saying Xero, but it might be QuickBooks. No big deal. Same thing. We can integrate with that one platform. Away we go. If we want to have our website here and manage it ourselves, we can do that. If we want to have forms that have leads fill in, we can do that, and then have that automatically generate records in our CRM, and then we'll be able to follow up with those leads and convert them into sales. And we've got the sales module here, and then from our sales we can then track our inventory because we've got inventory management here. We've got everything in one place. It goes from you can manage all of your stock and all of your sales and all of those things in one place. So let's run through this quickly. So at the top, we've got the Discuss app, which is your chat and those sorts of things within the system. So if I jump in, let me jump out of this. I'll jump into sales for a second and jump into one of our records here. Down the bottom here, you'll notice we've got this, what we call a chatter down the bottom. This is updating everything in Discuss. So every time there's a message in here, it'll appear in Discuss, but so you'll be able to see all your messages in one place. But also, if I need to, say, ask another colleague some information about this particular sales order, I can put in there at name, so at Mark, so it might be Mark Demo. I can put them in there and say, hey, look at this, and send them a message. So you'll notice here I've got send message and log a note. Log a note just does that. It just logs a note here, which is a private message for private internally for your inside your company. Whereas send a message sends it to all of our followers here, which usually includes the customers. So at the same time I go, hey customer, please review this quote, whatever the case may be. So I can do those sorts of things as well. In this case, the customer is at John B, whoever this sales order is going to. And then the other thing I can do is have activities. So if I need to schedule a follow-up, maybe a call in 3 days time or whatever else, I can do that here too. And that means that everything related to this sales order is all recorded in the chatter, which is all part of Discuss. So at any point in time, if I want to see what's going on with particular orders, if I want to see, or just have a general discussion, a general chat or whatever else, I can do that here. I can even start meetings. So this might not work because I'm actually using my camera already. Let me get rid of these. Okay, I won't actually do it because I'm actually using my camera, so I don't want it to upset my recording. but I can actually have a video conference with some of my employees if I want, or bring in external people, or whatever the case may be. So that gives really a need a reliance on things like Zoom or Teams or whichever platform you're using. So you can do that sort of thing here as well. So it's a very, very powerful app that Discuss One brings everything together. Next thing I'll jump to is Calendar. So we can manage our calendars. We can integrate these with Outlook and with the Google Office suite as well. So we can integrate those into the platform. But then we've got calendars here, and if you've got the website installed and you've got you manage your appointments, you can actually have people book appointments with you, and they will show up in this calendar. Book them online. So maybe prospects, maybe you have a particular website that asks people to register or make an appointment with you, they can do this on. So this replaces products like Calendly and those other ones that do that sort of thing. All the usual functions, I can turn off who I want to see, whose calendar I want to see, and turn them on again. I'm logged in here as administrator, so I can see a lot more than what you would normally see as an ordinary user. So keep that in mind too, that I'm seeing everything in the system, whereas general users will only see things that are relevant to them. I do have some different views up here. I've got my calendar view here, but I've also got a list view if I want to see it in that format as well. And it's the same list, just the different views. And you'll see that change. And I can see over here I've got 1 to 11 records, and I do have some really powerful filtering here as well. There's only a handful of records here, but sometimes if you've got tens of thousands of records, this could be able to filter them, find the exact record you need. Depending on, and I'm saying record there because it could be products, could be services, could be equipment, could be whatever, it could be manufacturing orders, whatever the case may be. So I can filter them, I can group them together if I want to see them grouped by, let's say, the responsible person. I can group them together, and now I can unfold these and see just the information that's relevant to them. I can even pick out those records and do an export if I need to export them to Excel or CSV or something like that, to then go and do something with. And let's say I wanted to update a product list, I could actually, let's say price list, I could do an export of the price list, change the numbers, and then re-import them back in, and all my price lists will be updated. So very, very flexible. And that ability to do those sorts of things, the filters and the grouping and the export, that's available everywhere. Everywhere you go, you'll be able to do that. So once you learn how to do the filters, you can apply that anywhere. So let's get out of that. Let's go into the to-do list. So we've got a to-do thing here as well. So track all your activities, those sorts of things. Yeah, maybe you set up your to-dos at the start of the week or the start of the month, and then you run through them all. So you've got that ability. Again, multiple ways to view this information. Okay, set up activities and things like that if I need to here as well. Let's go into contacts. So this is all of the contacts. So contacts are any contact, regardless of whether they're customers or their suppliers or their employees or whatever else. A contact is a contact. How you deal with those contacts so determines whether they're a supplier or they're a customer or whatever the case may be. So if I just want to see my customers, I can do that. I can filter on customers. I can filter on whether they're companies or individuals, whether I've got customer invoices and vendor bills. So these are my customers that I've actually sold things to. These are my vendor bills that people I've actually bought things from. I can see my employees, and again, I can have my custom filters down the bottom here. So important that a contact could be both. Could be firstly they could be a customer, or they could be a supplier, or maybe they're both. Maybe we not only buy from them, we sell to them as well, and that could be the case too. So it's good to treat your contacts globally, and then it's the activities of how you interact with them as to what differentiates them between customers and vendors and that sort of thing. Moving on, we've got the CRM. So managing our leads that come in as they go through from an inquiry, and these Kanban views, which is what this view is called. We can go and drag these tiles backwards and forwards as we move them through the pipeline. I can even rename these. If I want to call that, I'm going to say instead of new, I want to say maybe that's just what I want to call them lead. I can do that and rename it. No big deal there. That's all good. And you'll notice up here I've got the calculation for how much I expect to make out of this area. And as they move across, you'll notice that the numbers update and so forth as you move them across. And then we've got our one area over here where as we go through, hopefully get them over to this area where we've got them to a win, where we've actually sold them a product. But what we can do from here is we can also, if we open up one of these guys, we can, let's say we're successful, we can mark them as one, or if we're unsuccessful and we know we're not going to get the business, we can mark them as lost. If we mark them as lost, we can then put in a lost reason, and it's really good to do this because then we can follow up with them later on. Maybe the lost reason was it's not the right time, and so you can put a lost reason of not the right time, or however you want to describe that, and then later on we can go and search through all the ones we lost that weren't the right time, and then we can go and send them an email and say, hey, is now a good time, and those sorts of things. So very, very powerful to do those sorts of things as well. But also from here I can create a quotation, which will create essentially a draft sales order for us right from here. And again, this is all linked together. So our CRM is linked to our sales, and our sales is linked to our inventory, and our inventory is linked to, everything's linked together. You can just go on and on. And we can also move this through our pipeline up here as well. You'll see we've got all the information here we need, the contact, the email, their phone numbers. And if we go to the extra information, I can see lots of information about this particular person, how we acquired them, whether through marketing campaigns or via email, however. We can record all that information here so we can see what our best media was to advertise and that sort of thing, what's been more successful than others. Lots of information here. In our internal notes, this is a HTML field, what we call an HTML field. So I can add you'll notice here it's kind of in grey here, that type / for a command. If I type in / it gives me lots of options here. So I can put in tables, I can put in headings, I can put in checklists, I can put in banners, I can put in headers there, text message, piece of text. I can link in media, I can upload files, I can put images in here, there's so many things I can do, signature fields. I can even do some ChatGPT stuff, so generate some information out of ChatGPT and populate this area if I need to. So there's lots of flexibility in here with our notes when we're taking notes, when we're contacting these customers and those sorts of things, as we try and move them through the qualified and through to the one stage. I've also got tags in here, so I might want to tag certain people. So if they're interested in certain products, maybe you've got a tag for your particular products, maybe you've got tags for follow up later, maybe you've got tags for whatever. You can create your own tags, as many tags you like, and add them into the relevant areas. But also in our marketing campaigns, we can use tags there so we can do follow-ups and those sorts of things. So let's talk about that for a second. So I'll discard that and go into our configuration. We've got automation rules. So create an automation rule. We can click on new, we can give it a name. Follow up via email. We're going to check out the lead and opportunities. We're going to set the trigger is, we're going to add a tag. So we're going to add a tag. Whenever we add a tag to an email, we want to send, a tag to the lead as it goes through the CRM. We're going to send them an email. Maybe it's to do with our services. And so we can now create an action, and you'll see here we've got lots of options here. Update some records, create some activities, send an email. We can do one or multiples of these things depending on what you want to do. I'm going to send an email, I'm going to pick out a template, and we can adjust these. We can add as many templates as we want. And let's go and have a look at the templates. And what we've got here is you'll notice these blue ones. So these are dynamic fields. So these will automatically update based on whoever the person is. So in this case it's to Deco Addicts, but if the next time I run this it's to Fred Johnson, it will put Fred Johnson in here so I can see what's going on, I can see what it looks like, and I can edit this and do whatever I like with it. change the subject, change whatever I want. I won't do it, I'll discard that for a moment. This is just a quick overview. So I can do those sorts of things. You'll notice up here I've got a save button and discard button. So if I've ever got to the point where I really don't want to do that, I can just click the discard button and it goes away. So automation rules within CRM, very, very powerful things. I can also set up activities and tags and all those sorts of things. So the next module we want to look at is sales. So this is where you're going to create your sales records, and we can add products in here. We can use our quotation builders, which we can add in lots of graphics and really make it a really professional looking sales order and those sorts of things. And we've got also some other information here as well. We do have up the top, we've got our customer, and we can use quotation templates to save us rekeying all that information in every time. We can set up templates, so we create a template once and then just apply templates whenever we need to. We've got terms and conditions and those sorts of things. We've also got our preview. So with preview, this allows us to be able to, well, we can create the invoice but from this sales order, because this is a completed sales order. It's gone through the motions of being quotation. We've sent the quotation out, and now we're in this particular case, we're in the sales order stage. But we can look at the preview of that, and I'll leave the page, and we can see here is we can send the customer a link to this particular page, and they can see all this and see whether if they like it, and down the bottom they can say yep. Now let's say you're selling to a company, they may have purchase orders for you. So here is the PO, and it might be whatever the PO number is, and send it back to us. So then we've got a purchase order and so forth. But for ordinary customers, I don't have it set up here, but what we can do is have immediate payment. There'll be a button here for the immediate payment and agreement to that. Obviously this is already a sales order, so this is already done. But when the sales order is in that quotation stage, you would get those buy now options here. And as I said, this is full of demonstration data, so it is in US dollars and all that sorts of things. But if we applied the Australian localization here, this would all be in a 10% GST and Australian dollars and so forth. But nevertheless, I'm working with demonstration data. Next thing, as I'm just running down the list here, is dashboards, which are really powerful to see how your progress is going, our top 10 customers, our sales graph here, top countries, top products, you name it, it's in here. And this, again, is all customizable. Up the top, we've got extra filters if I just want to see for a particular bolt how many of those we've sold, which is none. Not a good example. If we've got some other, maybe I've got a customized desk. Have I sold any of those? No. Okay. But I can do things like filter on customers, filter on categories, filter on sales teams, salespeople, sources, lots of stuff, even different time periods. So I can do that for sales. I can do it for products. I can see my best-selling products. I can see my invoicing, I can see my expenses, I can see my warehouse metrics, very powerful stuff, and my projects, my timesheets. So for a business owner, being able to come in here and take one look and see how your business is performing is really powerful. And this, you're not linking up or having to try and pull data from lots of different areas. Everything's here, right in front of your eyes. Now, as I said, we can add our own dashboards into here, we can customize this, we can tweak it however we like, so we've got the right information here. Your KPIs for your business, the ones you are interested in, we can set those set up here for you. Next thing I'll move down to is invoicing. So this is our invoicing, so when we send out an invoice to our customer, they can then pay that invoice. Now let's say we're integrated this with Xero. What we can have is this automatically create those invoices in Xero, so Xero can handle all that side of it. And then when they get paid in Xero, that information comes back into this system to let us know it's been paid. So the full integration there means that there's that two-way conversation between the two systems. So at any glance, at any point in time, you can take a glance at either Xero or this platform, and you'll see the same information always. So the full integration there. Then we've got projects. So this is where we can run projects, whether you're using projects internally for your internal use or for actual jobs. We can create, what we can do is have products that have the ability to create the project and create tasks within that project. So if we're doing some big project for a customer, everything again is all connected together. If I go back to my list, I can go into these three little dots up here, and I go to settings, and I can see that I can see lots of information about the project, how long it's supposed to take, who the project manager is, who is assigned. But up the top here, we've got all these smart buttons. I can see this is linked to 2 sales orders. So there's in this case there was 2 sales orders have contributed to creating this. 1, creating a project. 2, creating the tasks within a project. I see my customer preview in here, so if we've shared this project out with a customer, they can see where things are up to. Again, this is all optional, you don't have to. I can see my dashboard here too, which is all of the project updates, and over to the right we've got all of the metrics in here of our tasks, our timesheets, our sales orders and purchase orders and burn down charts, and you name it, all those sorts of things are here. Whoops. As I said, working with demo data here. Let me go back to here. So that demo data does have some it's not complete. It's just sitting there for testing and those sort of purposes. Nevertheless, it is showing me all the information in there. I can see how much all my timesheets, and because I've got the drop down list, I can see the actual breakdown of where the time is spent, and likewise with the materials and that sort of thing. I can work with milestones. It's very, very flexible. So depending on how you want to run your projects, it's a very, very flexible platform. So as I said, with the projects, you can come in here, you've got the Kanban view of all your tasks, and you can move them through the cycles as we did with all the other Kanban views. And we've got the list view here, if I prefer to see it that way, and maybe I want to turn on extra features. I want to see if I've got progress in here, I've got deadlines, I can turn on extra tags. Lots of options there if I want to update with extra information there. I can look at this from a calendar point of view. I can look at it from the Gantt, from the pivot table point of view, and we can see things in the graph view. If I go back to my pivot table, and the accountants really love this. At the moment, this is grouped by the project managers, but I want to maybe add extra measures in here. I want to see what can we add in here? Total time spent, maybe allocated time. Well, progress might be a good one. So in this case, we don't have any progress registered against these projects, but you can see I can add them in here, and then I can do my, being a pivot table, I can do my grouping by either horizontally or vertically. And maybe I want to get rid of and just see the overall numbers. I can group it by customer maybe, which is only one customer in this case. So very flexible. Now I want to slice and dice that information. And anything in a pivot table is actually really quite convenient to be able to put into the dashboards as well. So they can link up, and we can then put in some really good visualization of that information. So it might be your meters and those sorts of things you want to have against the projects. So lots of flexibility in here. Next thing is timesheets. So you can see all your timesheets in one place, and this is where your employees can come in and fill out their timesheets. Fairly straightforward stuff. Again, you can do reporting and those sorts of things. There's some configuration options in here. Again, the multiple views. I know I'm taking a bit of time here, so I'll keep moving through. We've got email marketing. So if you want to send out newsletters, if you want to send out various other bits and pieces, you can do that. And this can link in with the CRM for information. So you notice here that at the moment the recipients is pointing to the contacts in this particular one, but we might want to point that to leads, and then be able to send out some promotional information to our prospects. We can do that here. Everything's here. We can customize all of these templates, these email templates, as we talked about before. We can do A/B testing. So if we want to test and see how this runs against this as a running thing, so I can't edit it. But if we want to say send 30 out, or split it up so that we can find out which variations on an email work better than others, we can do the A/B test to do that. And we've also got some settings in here where we might want to attach documents and those sorts of things. So not just send out the email, but also attach a file. So it might be some brochures or whatever the case may be. Lots of options. So these all work together. The email marketing works with all the other products in the system. So not just CRM, can also work with sales, can also work with our contacts, you name it. Next thing is surveys. So we can send out surveys, either feedback for our products or our services, or create new surveys, or maybe we even want to use it for testing our employees to make sure that they're kept up to date with the latest products, or whatever you want to create a survey for. This replaces things like SurveyMonkey, but it's more powerful in that you can look at your internal people, or you can look at external people, or you can do whatever you want with it, and it brings all together. And then if I want to set up automation based on the results of these surveys, I can do that too. So it's quite powerful. We've got purchase and inventory tend to go hand in hand, because usually you want to purchase stock that will go onto the shelf, and then you'll maybe sell within your e-commerce store. And that's also another product we can add into this. I don't have it here, but we can add in website, and we can add in e-commerce, and we can add in blogs, and we can add in you name it. But as I said, this is just a base platform, and we don't really have time to go through everything right now. This is going to be long enough as it is. So we can certainly go into this. This is an RFQ, a request for quotation. So we're sending this off to a supplier saying, give me a quote on all these products. This is what we paid for last time, or you can leave that blank if you want to, and then get a quote from them, and that sort of thing, and that can move through that cycle. In our other information, we've got our other source documents and things like that. Intercoms is really to deal with international shipping and that sort of thing. Doesn't come up that often, but it can, and so we can deal with that if it does. And you can see here, it actually shows me how many of these I've got in stock already. I can go into inventory now, and I can see immediately how many receipts. There's goods coming in because we're receiving the goods. Deliveries is stuff going out. We've got to send to our customers and those sorts of things. And because I've got manufacturing installed, I can see transfers that need to be done for manufacturing. So you might take some stuff off the shelf. Well, first you might want to reserve those products so they don't get sold or used up by anything else. Then you want to take them from the shelf and put them down in the manufacturing area wherever you're doing your build, and then eventually they'll get consumed as you do your build, and you turn those products into a new product that you then sell. And because we've got repairs installed, we've got a repairs option down the bottom here. I can come into my products, and I can see all of my products in here in one place. And again, Kanban view is the default, but we can look this in list view as well. I can do my usual filtering, goods and services, and whether we're doing combinations of products, and we can do inventory management. We've got all sorts of filters we can put on here. Lots and serial numbers, we can deal with lots and serial numbers. We can do a product variance, and that might be, let's say we sell t-shirts, and you sell the same t-shirt but in different sizes and different colours, and so we can use product variants for those sorts of things. Operations, we can see our transfers, and so this can be as simple or as complicated as we want to make it. If you're a small business, you probably don't need to go into a lot of detail about this, but as you grow, you might find the day when you really wish you had some of these capabilities. I can do physical adjustments to update maybe I'll do a warehouse count, maybe stock take, maybe it's a cycle count, however we want to do it, we can do that. We can set up replenishment rules. So replenishment rules will allow us to create things like, whenever we get down to a certain amount of product, order more. And so this will automatically create a draft purchase order for us to then go and follow up with our supplier, and this will create those purchase orders overnight. So it won't actually send the purchase order, but we'll create the draft there. So whoever's looking after your purchasing can come in the morning and go, oh, we need more of these and we need more of those. I can then go and validate those or confirm those purchase orders and buy them. So again, everything's working together in one platform. Next one's the manufacturing. So I've got different manufacturing orders that are already here. So this is to build a new product, which is called a desk combination. And these are the products that go into building that. And how do we do it? We do it through work orders. So this is an assembly work order which is ready to this is still waiting on components. I can see that, so I can't actually build this because I don't have all of the components yet. So that would also be a trigger for let's go and buy those components so I can actually build this thing so we can sell it. I can do my planning, so it'll take into account all of the resources I need and will actually schedule out the next available time to build this thing. Based on the availability of the products and the availability of your equipment within your work centre. So your work centres have, your work orders will be based on a work centre. I've got a work centre here, which is assembly one. So its availability and the availability of the products, and then it will schedule it. And then you've got manual operations. So the guys need to know what they need to do in that work centre with these products to be able to put together this combination. So we can set all those things up. So under configuration, we'll configure our work centres and our operations. And we can then build all these things. Now we do actually can use serial numbers if we want to. So if this is going to be a new desk combination with a certain serial number, we can do that as well. We can upload lots of serial numbers in the system and have them ready to be used and that sort of thing if we need to, or we can generate them on the fly. Let's keep going. So maintenance. So one of the things with, particularly with manufacturing or anybody that's got any internal equipment that they look after, so maintenance is there to keep track of that equipment. So whether it's a laptop or whether it's a brake press you're using for manufacturing, or it's a printing press, or it's a, you name it, we can track the equipment and how it's used, and then we can create maintenance requests for that equipment. And so if we open up one of these guys, we can see it's a corrective. So this means that something broke and we're fixing it, or we can set that to preventative. And if we set to preventative, then we can get a recurring thing. So once a week, we're going to do some sort of action to fix up this particular laptop, in this case. I'll discard that. Down the bottom here, we've got our parts that are consumed when we do that repair. And so repairing, if we want to keep track of how much this laptop is costing us to maintain, it's going to be parts and it's going to be times. So we can keep track of our efforts that we're putting in for maintaining this piece of equipment and keep track of all that. So we know when the laptop is getting older, that it needs to get repaired more and more frequently, and at some point it's not financially viable to keep that laptop going. We might as well just either throw it out or sell it or do whatever we want and buy a new one, and which is not going to have all of the issues that come with aging equipment. And it doesn't matter whether it's laptops. This could be, as I said before, a brake press or a printing press or a welder or whatever the case may be. But we can keep track of all that information. And so again, very, very configurable, and we've always got reports and things like that where we base this. This is a report based on, it looks like the repairers. It's listed here, but I can put in different measures. Maybe I want to see my parts costs based on that, which I don't have any set in the system, or maybe it's my time costs, or whatever the case may be. And I've got different, if I want to see that in a pie view, I'll go back to my account, I think it was, and I can see that Mark Demo is in progress. It's got these blue ones are in progress. I can see the red ones are the ones that are repaired. I can see these ones that have been scrapped, and these ones are new requests waiting to be started. So maybe I want to see that in that sort of view. I can do that. I can do back to the bar chart view. Then I've got repairs. So these are for things, maybe we've sold a product to a customer, and now they've bought it back either, and so we've got to do things like track, like, well, they bought it in for repair, is it under warranty or is it not? And if it's not, I want to be able to charge them for that repair. But if it is under warranty, maybe the warranty covers their parts and equipment, parts and time. And so we'll keep track of all that information here as well. And then if this is a return, then we keep track of those returns that they're going to come into our shop or warehouse. We need to make sure we've got a receipt for them to come in. We do our repair, and then we've got to deliver it back out to the customer, so we can keep track of all that information too. So we've got the returns in here as well. So again, I'm taking a bit of time here with these ones, but I'll try and get through this a bit quicker. Here I can keep track of all my employees, so I can open up the employees, I can look at their time off, timesheets, any equipment that's assigned to them, where they sit in the organisational chart, in this case, how many cars have been assigned to them, and their work contracts enroll in here as well. Their attendance is in here too, so keep track of their attendance. So you might want to have them scan in and scan out at the start each day and finish each day. We've got recruitment, so if we're now got a recruitment drive for a new person, a new developer, a new consultant, we can schedule those recruitment efforts in here and open up, and we can see this goes through a stage of, in a similar Kanban view, of the interviewing process before we onboard them. And then if we do, we can onboard them, then we create their employee records, because we've already got all the information in here, and there'll be a button up here ready to onboard them once they get through into that contract sign area, where I can immediately create their employee records and things with all the information we've already got. Fleet, this is for managing your vehicles and those sorts of things, so we can keep track of what's been registered and who's got what and when it's up for a service and those sorts of things, really under contract. Got my time off app, so this is where your employees can request time off. The next one is my expenses, so this is where if you've got, you might take a customer out for lunch or spend some whatever, and so that employee may then need to charge the company back for the lunch that was provided. Or if the employee has a company credit card, then they will come in here and register all of their expenses on that credit card here. And then a report can be generated where the manager can go through and review all those and approve the ones that are truly for business purposes, or go and deal with the ones that aren't, and those sorts of things. All right, down the bottom we've got our last three apps, which is firstly data cleaning, which allows us to do things like where we've got duplicates in our contacts or sales orders and combine and bring them all together. It's a quite powerful tool. We've got our apps, so this is where we can go and add, this is essentially our app store, where we can go and add additional apps if we want to. And there's lots in here. You'll notice some of these are upgrades, so they're only for the enterprise, for the large, big, with employees over 50, with companies, for companies with employees over about 50 staff. You start then needing to get to the enterprise grade one, where this is really the small business side. So those apps aren't available to us in the smaller app, for small businesses, but all these ones with Activate beside, we can activate immediately. Then we've got our settings, so these are all our global settings right across for every single app in one place. So as administrators, we can come in here and we can add in lots and lots and lots of different bits and pieces that we need to. And yeah, so that means that we can do things like set up units and measure, or do our turn on or off variants, or do our drop shipping. Maybe you're involved in drop shipping. So drop shipping is where you can put an order into a company, but rather than sending the product to you, they send it direct to the customer. And so the product never needs to come to your warehouse, but you will organise that, both the sale of the product to the client, and then the purchase from the supplier, but then the supplier sends it direct, and so that's drop shipping. So that's all covered in here as well. So this went on a bit longer than I had hoped, but nevertheless I hope it was a fairly good overview of the system and how it fits together. If you have any questions at all, please get in contact with us. We're happy to talk through any of these or really customize this list so it's not quite so cumbersome and it really is tailored to your individual needs. And we can even set up a trial environment for you, so you can give this. We can give you 14 days to go and play with this, get a feel for it. We can set up a demo environment if you want to have some data already populated in here, so you can go and play with it. We can do that too. Whatever you want, we can help set you up and get you on the right track of bring all this information into one place and being able to report on it in real time, being able to see things like dashboards. So powerful for business owners to be able to see all of their information in one place. Don't have to go through and try and pull data from all different places. Everything's together in one place. So I hope to hear from you soon. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you later.